and how much they want their oak, how much wine they want in their oak, how much oak they want in their wine. Welcome back to Rewind with bschwitty, because never ever eat pears. Today, well, first of all, sorry about last week. I had a lot of traveling. I had family in town the week before. There was a lot going on, and I just didn't have time to shoot and edit and put everything together. I'm really sorry about that. My one goal was to go an entire year without missing a week, which technically already happened with the Harvest mini blogs, but that's beside the point. We're coming up on a year for Rewind, and I'm sorry. I'm here to put information out about wine and have a glass with you guys. So I feel really bad that I missed it and didn't even say anything until Wednesday. Back to today, Mondays, our educational episodes. That's why we're here. That's what we're going to do. I had an interesting experience last week. One of the many things that was going on last week at work and in my life. My boss is out of town on a business trip, but his niece is in town with her friends from college, newly 21, and they came in for a barrel tasting. So, aside from feeling the oldest I've ever felt in my entire life thus far, I just turned 29 last month, they actually asked a lot of really great questions that I thought we would kind of try to go over in today's episode. And most importantly, they asked about how wine is aged. And I know that's a subject that confuses a lot of people out there. So, let's get into today, shall we? All right. So, today, we're going to be talking about aging wines. And I don't know if I've covered this exactly in this past year so far, but I'm fairly sure that we haven't specifically focused on barrels. I don't have an exact idea on what I'm doing today. This is kind of just improv. Let's take you back to wine basics. You remember that the flavors in wine come from four main things: the grape varietal itself, the growing conditions for the grape, including terroir, how much it's watered, etc., the fermentation process, and finally the aging process. The aging process, which we're talking about today. Most importantly, the amount of oak or lack of oak that you put on it. Let's talk about barrels. Wine can be stored and even fermented in different containers. You can ferment in open-topped containers, plastic macro bends, stainless steel tanks, and you can even punch the barrel heads out of barrels and ferment right in those. A lot of wines are aged in oak or have some sort of oak additive in the wine during its lifespan. Let's talk about barrels. Barrels are really easy. They're made from oak or other woods. I know some wineries around here use acacia barrels for some whites, which produce some really interesting results. Barrels, well, they add flavor. Unlike beer, we can't just throw other flavor additives into the aging or fermentation process to make wine. So oak is generally used to kind of give extra flavors that you wouldn't normally see. Barrels come in all shapes and sizes. I've seen barrels as small as like a little 7-gallon pony keg almost, all the way up to, tank-sized containers. Barrel sizes, standard barrel sizes, Bordeaux barrels are 225 liters or about 59.5 gallons. Burgundy barrels are 228 liters or a little over 60 gallons. And there are puncheons, which are 500 liters, which is around 132 gallons. There's also intermediate sizes between standard barrels and puncheons. If you have a size requirement, there's probably a barrel cooper out there that will provide it. Barrels are generally toasted on the inside, around the stave ring, but you also have the option to toast the heads. If you just toast the side of the barrels, the inside of the barrels obviously, the flavor that's imparted from the side of the rings differ from what's on the head. So the side of the barrel will impart about 66% of the flavor, and then the heads are the other third. So depending on if you want a full toasted barrel versus no toasted heads, it'll give you different flavors. And the flavors that you can get from barrels, you get those toasty notes, vanilla-like flavors, dried fruits, burnt sugar, burnt nuts, like woody characteristics, little dill, coconut, spice, cloves, smoky characteristics. All that non-fruit related stuff will come from the barrel in barrel aging. And there are two main types of oak: American oak and French oak, which is a European oak variety. Also, depending on where the oak grows, will impart some slightly different flavor characteristics just because of where it grows and how it grows. The climates will, like grapes, affect the flavors in the oak. Now, there's also different grains of oak, which more affect how long the barrel will last and how quickly flavor will be imparted to the wine, going from coarse, medium, fine to extra fine. Now, of course, if you can't afford barrels, or you have large batches of wine that you have in your tank farms, giant tanks, you may buy staves to either put into what we call neutral barrels, which are barrels that have, brand new barrels will impart oak. Brand new barrels will impart the oak flavor really fast and hard. No. Brand new oak barrels will impart their oak flavors the most out of, any barrel, just because they're brand new. I always equate it to, like, if you ever got a new shipment, like if you've ever had a new, like if you've ever had a new, like if you ever had fresh bark in your front yard, or wood chips, for the first couple months, you get that potent smell coming off of it. But after a while, with weathering and age, you don't smell it when you walk out your door. Same thing for the barrels. They, over time, after use, will eventually lose their big boulder characteristics and just be a containing vessel, essentially. So we call those barrels neutral. Neutral barrels, or sometimes bigger lots in stainless steel tanks that, you just don't have enough barrels for, they will get staves, which are just lengths of oak that have been toasted, and you just stick straight into the barrel or into the larger tank. And what that does is imparts the flavors of the oak without needing a brand new oak barrel, which can be pricey at times. Red wines are generally aged longer in oak barrels, usually at least 1.5 years from harvest, all the way to over 4 years. It really depends on the wine and from production to production. Every winemaker has a different preference and a different palate and how much oak they want in their wine. You can find oak on Chardonnay and some whites, but generally most of those will either be stainless steel, sometimes concrete, or neutral oak barrels. Lighter varietals will generally spend less time in barrel, and more complex varietals will tend to last longer in them. So, have I genuinely confused you about oak and oak alternatives? Cool. I think we learned a little bit today. If you have any questions, leave me those in the comments below. Like I said earlier, this was kind of just a fly by the seat of my pants based off of a discussion with some people that were genuinely interested in learning about wine, which as someone that makes wine and gets to talk about wine and make a show about wine, that's really awesome. I love it when people are excited to learn about what they're drinking and how it affects them. If you have any questions, like I said, leave it in the comments below. Wednesday, we're going to be tackling a wine myth about freezing wine and see how that turns out. Friday, I'm going to have a little vlog from 2 weekends ago when I went to the Livermore Wine Festival, and hopefully that pieces together well. I honestly forgot, I guess I was too in the moment when my family was here in town when we went out tasting to record any of that. So you get one wine tasting vlog, and then we'll be back to regular Friday stuff next week. Thank you for watching. My name is bschwitty. This has been Rewind, and I will catch you next time.